Hello, ranters. I'm Ryan.
What up? This is Robert.
Let's rant. Let's go ahead and shift gears again. Let's talk about life in the bayou, life back in
Well,
Louisiana.
I think it's Isaiah Bradley. Do you want to talk about him
Oh
first,
yeah, it's
or
it's Isaiah Bradley right after that, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah?
I'm getting
So
I'm getting
Sam
everything
goes to
confused.
visit Isaiah Bradley to get the kind of the history of, well, I guess to get Isaiah Bradley's history because he wants to understand what it was like for like a person of color to be Captain America or to be a super soldier. And I mean, I kind of know a little bit about Isaiah Bradley's backstory in the comics, so like I kind of understand, well, not understand, but like how they what they were going with. Like, yeah, I felt like, so he talks about they weren't told what serum or what they were getting. They were just they told they what they what did they tell that Isaiah Bradley and like his fellow
Oh, it was a tetanus
African American,
shot.
like it was, yeah, like tetanus. So but then he finds out that oh, it's different versions of the serum. So like basically they were guinea pigs for like this new version of a super soldier serum, and they were dropped in to do missions. Isaiah Bradley was talking about his story about how his fellow soldiers ended up getting I guess captured and were held in a POW camp, and
Yeah.
the government's idea is to just bomb the camp just to eliminate all evidence. But Isaiah Bradley ends up breaking out of his thing, and he ends up rescuing his entire group. And when he comes back, he ends up getting thrown in jail and gets tested on to find out why the serum worked so well with him and maybe not the others. And I was like, this is kind of, you can kind of see the difference. And I mean, you can see the similarities, the different results of that, his story with Steve Rogers. When Bucky's battalion gets kidnapped by Hydra in the first Avenger, it's like Steve Rogers breaks command and goes out and basically rescues them all by himself, and he comes back and they herald him as a hero, like, oh, this he saved all these troops and basically brought back Hydra weapons to use. And then Isaiah Bradley does it and he gets thrown in jail. You can kind of see the difference of how the government sees these individuals, and of course the main trigger is Steve Rogers is white, Isaiah Bradley's black.
Yeah.
I mean, it is evident. And again, this was like, what I think Isaiah Bradley said, he was active late 40s, early 50s. I mean, back then, race. I mean, race is still a problem now for sure, but back then, it was intensified more so.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, they didn't get any welcome home parade when they came home from the war. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see how the race did play a factor in their stories.
Oh, for sure. And especially, like you were saying, the parallels
Yeah.
between both Isaiah and Steve with that. And there's a part of me that's also wondering because, Isaiah did say that, there were others, some of them died off, that if there are other super soldiers out there from
Still out
that
there,
time
yeah.
frame, yeah, like I because it feels like it does leave the door open a little bit for that, that are just like Isaiah, like, I'm, in hiding. And it did make me, like, just hearing his story, it did make me want to see that. Like, I wanted to see Isaiah as Captain America. And especially, like you were saying, it's a big thing too, with the race issue.
Hmm.
And, it was cool to see it personified the way that it was between both of them. And I also like that it's sort of it touched on what Sam was going through, because the the thing about race 2, it's throughout the series, but it's sort of underlined,
Yeah.
like it's
I feel
sort
like
of
it's
like,
not it's they're not throwing it in your face like a lot of
yes.
shows would.
And that's what I like about this show, is that it's very subtle in what it's doing with the message. Like when you have to throw the message in somebody's face and keep saying, hey, don't forget the message, it hurts.
Hmm.
It hurts the art, because that's the whole purpose of art, is to show me without telling me. Show me the
Yeah.
struggle, the plight, even to see what Sam's dealing with. with that. But that's the interesting thing though, is that, when I look at Sam, I don't see that as one of the issues. But now looking at it again, from the perspective, especially with what happened with Isaiah, like there is a reoccurring theme with the government in this universe
Mm-hmm.
and how they treat people. And, whether it be, a person of color, whether it be, a soldier who's, devoted his life, like they are consistently screwing people over that, do nothing but offer their service and their life for the cause and for what they
Because
believe in.
because those people, again, to keep with the theme, are just a means to an end to the government,
Exactly. Means to an
to be
end.
to be discarded. And I
Yeah.
think to conclude, what it concluded Isaiah Bradley's speech when he says, "No self-respecting black man would ever want to be, Captain America." And I'm like, I think that kind of like hit, because he says that to Sam, and I think that hit Sam harder, and I'll touch up on that later on. And I was just, I mean, it's a hard hitting line in my opinion.
Yeah, and
And
and I think oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
no, I was just like, it was definitely one of those gut punch of a line. Like it did so much to Isaiah Bradley. Like no, he can't. Even seeing, like, even I think for him, even seeing Sam as Captain America would, I don't know, like, and it kind of, again, and it'll also come back again if they actually do Eli Bradley, his grandson, if he comes back and becomes a patriot.
Ooh,
Like,
that would be awesome to see.
yeah, I mean, he's also a young Avenger in the comics, and I think it can kind of come back like, okay, well, maybe Eli Bradley will see Sam Wilson maybe Sam Wilson becomes the new Captain America, and maybe Eli sees that and says, "Hey, with my grandfather's history and this new, black Captain America out there, basically kicking ass, I want to do that too." Like, I don't know how in the comics, Eli Bradley does not have actual powers. He was getting his powers from, I think it was human growth hormone or mutant growth hormone. I can't remember which one.
GMOs, we call them GMOs.
Yeah, in the real world,
We call that extra gluten.
right?
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean that, and I'm sorry, but I cannot allow this to, like, I can't ignore it. But when Sam's walking up to the house and he's talking to Eli, and Eli was like, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll be back there too." Eli completely airballs his jump shot in the back as Sam's walking towards the house. Like, you can see it over Sam's shoulder. Eli just airballs the shot. I'm like,
he misses it.
he airballs it. He doesn't miss. He airballs it. Come on, man. You can't be trying to talk a big game to Sam, saying you're gonna do, like, you're gonna meet him in the back, and then you airball your shot. Come on, son. Come on.
Come on,
That's that's
son.
that segment on Monday Night Football when they're like, yeah. That's basically all I had to say about Isaiah Bradley. But I'm gonna have to get some water real quick. So take like 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Right back. Some of that low quality H2O. Ugh.
Low quality H2O. I like that.
So going back, Sam back home.
Yes, Sam back home, back in the bayous of Louisiana. Yeah, dude. So I'm glad that we. I like that we can take a break. Oh, Carly's in the dark. Let's go back home.
Right. Well,
It's
it's not
like,
even
oh, we
that.
can.
They also kind of got benched.
True,
Like, there's
true.
really nothing. Like, I think Torres said something is like, well, there's nothing you can do until there's something to do, or something like that.
Yeah. The one thing that I took away from, that whole scene and whatnot, and again, we're still trying to fix the boat, but when Bucky shows up out of nowhere, after Sam's called in all the favors, from everybody that, knows their family and knew their parents. And that Wakandan case, dude, man, when Bucky's like,
Oh,
hey, I went ahead and called in a favor. Well,
from the Wakandans.
yeah.
You
Well,
know, you know that's gonna be a vibranium Captain America Falcon suit,
exactly,
and
man. It's
I
gonna
am
be woo.
all for it.
It's gonna be
I am,
sick. It's gonna be
because
beautiful.
I feel like when Bucky was probably like during that fight, I mean, again, Sam Wilson fought John Walker with his Falcon suit. Like, I mean, like I said, I loved how they can like think of creative ways to make him fight with his wings. But I think Bucky knew he's like, I mean, if he's gonna be Captain America, he's got to need more than a shield.
Oh yeah.
He's got to keep his Falcon persona, but let's also try and make also that with vibranium, and you know,
Oh, dude, I'm not ready to see that suit. It's gonna
oh
be so beautiful. But that Wakandan
yes,
case, though, man, that case
oh
was
dude,
sick.
that case is probably worth $5,000.
Oh god, no, dude, more than that, more than that.
Just the thumb scanner was probably worth $5,000.
The wires for that,
Oh
if there were wires, which I doubt there was wires. It's Wakandan technology. That stuff's
yeah,
advanced.
for
But I
sure.
have something I gotta say about that. So
Acer.
end of that episode, end of that scene when they're hauling Zemo away and Bucky looks at Ao and he's like,
Ayo.
I
Okay, yeah.
have one last favor to ask, and then we get that case, and then Bucky's like, I called in a favor to the Wakandans. You know what, Bucky? Call in another favor and get that damn boat fixed.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, when he handed him the case and he was like, yeah, he handed him the case, and I'm just like, why can't he just get them a boat from Wakanda or something? Like, why couldn't he? Like, you can't tell me they don't have something. Like, I don't think they're like anywhere near a body of. Maybe some of the other tribes are near body of waters, like large bodies of water. But like, you can't tell me like they can't build him a boat or something. Like, it doesn't have to be out of vibranium, but
Oh my god, could you
damn.
imagine? Vibranium boat, tugboat.
I bet you that I can't remember the character's name, but when the kids are talking about the buyer like ended up backing out, and then he was like, oh, then he said something else in Vietnamese, and I'm like, I bet you that guy would now buy the boat if it was vibranium.
Oh, for
Couldn't even
real.
afford the boat.
But, no!
All
Missed
of
opportunity.
Vietnam couldn't afford the boat. I don't know the GDP of Vietnam, so they might. Who knows? But yeah, I was just like, get him a new boat. But then, if you got him a new boat, then we wouldn't have gotten this great bonding moment between Sam and Bucky, and I loved every second of it. They were becoming best friends,
Oh,
whether they want to
yeah.
admit it or not.
Well, especially the little boat rip, like when Sam's trying to take off, the side of the boat. Bucky just
Oh yeah.
comes over, rips it off like nothing.
Or then like later on, when I think it was a little bit after, Sam tells him to start like unscrewing the bolts or whatever, and Bucky's actually using the ratchet. I was
Yeah.
actually half expecting him just to like unscrew the bolts just with his arm.
Well, I mean that line that he even says, well, that's when Sam looks at him, he's like, "Why don't you use the metal arm?" And Bucky's just like, "I don't
Yes,
always think of it immediately."
because he's right-handed.
I love their banter.
Yeah.
I love their chemistry. Just the whole back and forth with them. That's the thing that I love. It's like you said, it's them bonding and oh my god, dude, Bucky's little look that he gives at Sarah
I was like half expecting him to say,
when she's like, "Oh, Sarah." And then he just
yeah.
looks at her, that smolder, and I was like, "Yeah, that's right, Bucky." It's that same
I was
look he gave Steve when he kisses Sharon
like,
when they meet up at him. When Bucky and Sam are just in the car and they give that look and they're just nodding like, yeah,
approval.
yeah.
But like, I half expected like when he said, when she introduced herself as Sarah, because Steve's mom was named Sarah, I believe, if I remember correctly from Civil War. I don't know, half of me was expecting, was
Yes.
like, oh yeah, my best friend's mom was named Sarah.
Oh
I don't
God,
know.
he would too. He would too.
It's like, oh, it's okay. She'd be like 150 now, but but I like it felt like, okay, so like I think they kind of spent like what, almost 2 days or whatever, because they came, they worked on the boat, he stayed the night, they worked on the boat more, and then they ended up starting, then they kind of was just throwing the shield around like people would throw around a baseball. And I feel like, they were like together for like 2 days in a non-combat setting, and you can kind of feel like they were coming together like as friends, like, because they were always bickering, bantering, and nothing. And then I feel like they're finally like understanding each other and coming closer together. And, you know, even Bucky even apologizes to Sam about not understanding what it would be like for a black man to be Captain America. I think he even said him or Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's referring back, like, man, I just about understanding and going through it, but you can tell, like, and that's actually what I wanted to touch on earlier, but I was like, you know what, I'll save it for this scene, is that line that you said about that Isaiah says to Sam about, no self-respecting black man, whatever, wear that uniform, hold that shield and whatnot. That goes back to what we talked about before. It's what the shield represents and
Yeah.
the person holding that shield.
Yeah.
And
being a good man.
Yeah, with Steve's situation, it was, he was trying to be a good man, and it was the man that he was. And with Isaiah, that's the only thing with Isaiah. All we have to go on are the comics and what we've seen. We don't get to see, the kind of man Isaiah was. Is he more akin to an idealist like Steve? Is he more of a company man like John? So we don't really get to see too much on that. So all we have to go off of is what we've been shown and what's in the comics. But with that being said, you can definitely tell that line, it got in Sam's head, and it did start messing with him a little bit. But, at the same time, I think that scene was needed right there, and they did give it to us with Bucky, talking to Sam about that and saying, I think he even said, it's about the person holding the shield. It's not about the shield. It's not about, what it's done. But that's what I was getting at with Isaiah, is that, that was his experience, what happened with the shield and what it means to him and what it now represents to him. So, what the government and everything, what happened with him, that left, a horrible impression on him to what that shield is. And that's why he's like, I can't even look at that shield. Like, he's basically at the point, like, get it out of my house. Like, don't even, don't open that in here. Don't show it to me, because of his experience with that. And like you said earlier, it's crazy that it really could have been the opposite way. He could have had the same experience like Steve did, or vice versa. But, race definitely did play a factor. And at the same time, I also see it as the government was trying to cover that up. They were like, we screwed up.
Oh, yeah, for
like,
sure.
Get rid of this. Like, scrap it. Burn it to the ground. But I think that could also be, because if I remember correctly, I think they said the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
For what was going on with Isaiah when that occurred. So a lot of that too could also be touching on, the experiments they would do to soldiers during Vietnam and whatnot. In our reality, in real life.
Oh, yeah.
That could also be like a little message and a little nod to that as well. Especially how he was saying, they told us it was tetanus, but, they were actually doing tests on us and whatnot. So I also viewed it as that as well. So, like I said, there's just so much that they put in here. Like, and I love that it's, it's show, don't tell, in the sense, that it's, like, I just love that. I love the little nuggets like that. I love history. But yeah, going back to that scene, Bucky opening up about the shield being his family and what's left of it, and just looking for a way to work through his stuff, and the comment that he makes about Steve's book, well, the book worked for him, and maybe it works for me. Like, he's still, that's why, when we talked earlier about Zemo, and I'm like, no, like, Bucky's a different person now. Like, he's genuinely trying to make things right and trying to find that way. And just, with Sam talking to him, saying, I like how Sam was like, he was counseling him.
Yeah.
Like he does with the soldiers.
Yeah, like a 10-minute little session with Sam did more for Bucky than those. Like, I'm not saying the other therapist lady is terrible, but, like, I felt like Sam got more accomplished in 10 minutes than she probably did in however many sessions they had together.
Exactly. And, that's what it was about. It was once Bucky got to that point where he was like, okay, I'm comfortable opening up to you. I know I can open up to you because we're going through the same thing, like
Yeah.
the
And
circumstances may be a little different, but at the end of the day, we are this affects both of us. And the thing about how Bucky feels towards Sam, it's always the same line, and I love that line. I don't know why. Like, I really love that line. He was just like, why did you give up the shield so easily? Like, like it's his attachment to the shield because he knows, like, this is, I miss my friend. I miss, who I was. I'm trying so hard to be a better person and to be Bucky, to shake off this Winter Soldier persona and be my own person, be who I was. And
yeah.
I really love this scene. Like you said, they needed it, especially when they're making the comment to each other about what they are. Like, partners is like
Oh yeah.
coworkers. And then, dude, that
Coworkers,
that
but
epic high
professionals.
five, that Predator, freaking Carl Weathers,
Oh
Arnold Schwarzenegger high five that they do, where they're just like
yeah,
that
flexing.
arm embrace. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that whole scene. Just and Sam does it so well because he even when Bucky was talking about the book, and I think even Sam was like, he's like, the book worked for Steve, but he says you can't let other people tell you or whatever how to live or something, something like that. And that's true. Like I think Bucky's trying to do good. He's trying to do the thing what Steve did, but I'm like, it's not gonna work. What Steve did isn't gonna work for you. You kind of have to find your own path. And I think that's for so long, basically Bucky, people have been telling or ordering and making Bucky do what they want. And I think he's just so lost, but I think he's finding himself now. And man, I want to see more of, I honestly just want to see more of Sam and Bucky. Like, I hope this isn't, it's like a one season, one and done. Like, I know Marvel has their own plan, but I definitely want more of Bucky. Might just because of Sebastian Stan. I mean, he's just so good. But I love those two characters together. Even when they first got together in Civil War, like you just knew like they were ripe for a buddy comedy type thing.
Oh yeah, especially like I feel like the seeds were being planted way back when. I mean, just the whole
Yeah,
scene with the car, like, you gonna move your seat? Nope.
yeah. Or
He
just when they
just
were
scoots
fighting
over.
like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like why couldn't you do that earlier?
I
I
hate
hate
you.
you.
But
Because if
yeah.
we're being really honest, like outside of the brief time like in Winter Soldier, like I believe that was like the real first time Sam Wilson and Bucky actually had like a conversation or really truly met in Civil War. Because like they met in Winter Soldier, but that was when Bucky was Winter Soldier and he was just beating everybody's ass. And then like he goes missing, and then they were searching for him for 2 years, and then all of a sudden Bucky pops up being framed for the bombing of the, what was it, a UN type of building
Yeah,
in,
for
in Switzerland, and then all of a sudden, they capture him, and he's being Bucky's like they put that giant, I think it was like a hydraulic thing, hydraulic press on his arm
yeah.
to keep it from going
Yeah.
anywhere. I think that was like really Sam's first like real meeting of Bucky, and I'm just like, these guys literally just met, and you can kind of already see it. But I
Yeah.
think, and then yeah, so like the scene when they had their little thing, and Bucky's like, whenever it's time to go to work, call me, I'll be there. And like Bucky's walking off and Sam's walking off with with the shield. Like when I first saw that scene in the trailer, I literally thought that was gonna be like the
The final
last scene
scene.
of the final, yeah, the series. And I was like, it came off as like an ominous type of feeling, like maybe something happened where their relationship got fractured and we weren't going to see them. It felt like a parting
Yeah.
in a sense of like a somber parting, as opposed to like, no, these guys this is where we want them at now. They're gonna. I'm just glad it wasn't that, and like you can tell they're actually going to be like partners going forward. And then like I think
Coworkers.
yeah, and then it cuts, and then the training montage of Sam just training with the shield. You see him running, and I'm like, even when the show started, like I didn't want Sam to be Captain America. I didn't want Bucky to be Captain America. I just wanted that because I loved Sam as the Falcon, and I like Bucky as the Winter Soldier, or he could be the White Wolf. Whatever. But like after seeing this training montage, I'm like, all right, I see you. I see. And then like I said, that he's gonna get those from Wakanda. They're gonna be some vibranium Falcon wings, and I'm like, man, with him flipping and doing everything with the shield, I was like, I want to see this now. Like, I want to see all the creative ways that they made him fight with the wings. Now add the shield with it, and I think it's gonna be beautiful.
It's gonna sound
I think
so
the
cool too.
cinematography is gonna be beautiful.
We're not ready for it, man. But I can
Ugh.
tell you this: as soon as that montage started, straight to South Park. We're gonna need a montage. I was ready for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed watching him train, and like, yeah, super Rocky vibes.
Oh yeah, totally.
One thing we didn't touch on, that it was just like a really quick, like, cute moment in the episode when you see his nephews playing with the shield
Oh yeah.
when Bucky wakes up. Bucky, right? Was it Bucky or Sam that
Yeah,
was laying
Bucky.
down?
No,
Yeah.
Bucky wakes up. And he's just like, "Hey." It's not like they can break the shield though.
Yeah, and he just looks at him and he's like, "God, it's just kids being kids." But
Exactly.
it's so good seeing them, like, just playing with it, and I don't know, it was like a feel good moment for me. Really liked it.
Yeah.
But then so we did skip one thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and that was John Walker's scene when he goes to visit Lamar's family.
I was actually. Let's see. I was
Did
gonna
you want
say
to save
one
that
more
for the end?
thing. No, I was gonna say one more thing. I hope you can edit this in together.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
like I was gonna say, so like I think the final there was one scene where Sam is talking to his sister, and his sister's all talking about, are you letting Isaiah get into your head? And you can kind of see the doubt in Sam, and it kind of and again it goes back to what Isaiah Bradley said. It's like no self-respecting black man would ever be Captain America. And I think Sam is finally understanding that, what, people aren't going to I think Sam is going to like force. I don't want to say force because that's terrible, but he's going to go out there and he's going to be Captain America, and he's going to be a black Captain America, and he's going to do it in front of all these people. And if these people don't like it, like, he's just going to say, hey, it is what it is now. Like, I don't want to say he's going to force people to accept it, but I think he's going to make people realize that there can be, Captain America isn't, like I said, it's not like a white person. It's not a black person. It's just, you embody the good man of Captain America. I think he's just going to go out there and be like, this is Captain America now. And I think people are going to realize that, and they're going to be like, again, I don't know how it's going to end, but I think he's going to make people think it's this, I think he's going to turn Isaiah Bradley around. Like, I think he's going to make him proud. At least I hope. And I
So
think he's going to
you saying that? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying?
about what?
Right now you were saying he's gonna and then I cut you off.
Oh yeah, no, I think Sam Wilson is gonna go out and be Captain America. He's gonna be his version of Captain America, and I think he's gonna show that there can be a black man that can be Captain. I think he's gonna make Isaiah Bradley, like, look at it at a different light, because you know how he seems bitter, and understandably so. But I think he's gonna be like, hey, look, there can be a self-respecting black man as Captain America, and it's me. I'm here. Deal with it, Rhodey.
I I think
Boom.
I think I really just want to hear him say, "Kiss my black ass." God, standing ovation if he says that. But I do have a theory that I'm gonna say for the end. Like, you triggered something in my mind when you said that, which I think would be a cool way to see it played out. But we'll talk about that
Yeah, because I
later.
think it comes back to, like, I don't know, like, because I don't, like, again, the whole world is watching, so maybe the final fight or whatever, maybe again it gets recorded and it's on the news, and I think maybe Isaiah Bradley sees it, and he'll be like, he probably won't do much, but it might be like a head nod or like a little smile grin.
That's
But I
that's
think,
exactly what I was thinking in my head.
and I think, like, even like I said, I brought it back to where maybe Eli Bradley will see it, and then again that'll be someone that his grandpa was a super soldier, and then he can kind of see this new black Captain America, and that's something that he could aspire to be and look up to, and that'll probably help him make him turn, like, go towards the Patriot route for the Young Avengers.
Yeah. No,
But
I could see that.
so you want to talk about John Walker's scene now, because I was gonna save the Hoskins scene until after the end, because I was gonna talk about the end credits first, and then just bring it back
Yeah,
to.
yeah. You wanna save John Walker and Lamar's family scene for the end, and we can just
Yeah,
we'll tie it in with the quote unquote spoiler alert
end
end
credit
credit
scene.
scene. But yeah, we can go ahead and do that. We can go ahead and hold off on Sharon as well. Um, let's actually let's shift to Carly. We haven't talked about Carly this episode, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I,
So Carly, her and her goons. They're not even goons, but well, they are. I don't know. H-
henchmen. I don't know.
henchmen, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there
they
there was.
go back to the compound and they see that it's been raided and they have the thing like, oh, everybody's getting shipped off. And then she's like, now's the time to attack.
Yeah,
We're going to
like
do
they're
this.
talking about what they've lost, and I'm like there's that one small scene. Like I felt like they didn't have a whole lot in this episode. Just the flag smashers in general. Like that
No,
one small scene earlier in the episode. Like I felt like that was fine to skip because all they were talking about was what they've lost and stuff like that. I'm like, we get it.
and I feel like this episode, like you said, there wasn't really a lot of the Flag Smashers and Carly in it, but again, I feel like I guess now after watching this episode, which we'll talk more about the ending in a little while, that again, I just I can't buy her as the villain. And I feel like
Yeah,
now this episode officially cemented it. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about the ending yet, but this episode sort of cemented it as okay, she's the villain.
yeah. I feel like I said. Well, I mean, we discussed it off, off mic or on mic, but not recording. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a whole other storyline that was going to deal with the flag Carly and the Flag Smashers that ended up getting rewritten. And I think it's just been, and they did a decent job, recutting and using footage they already had to like kind of put together a decent or coherent ish storyline with them. But I really felt like there was probably like maybe a pandemic slash virus type of storyline that was going to go around, and that's maybe what really killed was it Madani, her guardian or friend, or I don't know who she was to. I just felt like there was probably a whole lot because I forgot the actress who played Madani, but she's a big name actress that they hired for the role, and like all you see of her is she's dead, like at the funeral.
Yeah, and that's it. Like
Yeah,
that's all we get from it. And like I said, yeah, just everything that last year has caused, for alterations with media, with films, TV shows, and all that. Yeah, I can definitely see that being the reason why. And they were like, well, this is all the footage we have, so find a way to make a cohesive storyline out of it. But I
yeah.
feel like at the same time, if that was the case, or if this has been the plan all along, I just feel like that it's just been so back and forth with Carly. And I just again, the last episode I was like, okay, like I'm seeing a little bit more. Now it's just sort of like, again, she just feels so unsure. But I feel like it's just like, I don't necessarily think she's too far gone. I think she's still just like, she's doing what she can with the situation, but
Mm,
she's going about it the wrong way because, of course, villain.
of course.
But yeah, so I guess now we can talk about Sharon because it sort of segues into Carly's next scene with that.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, that was the thing. So yeah, I was gonna combine their scenes because, like I said, there wasn't really much in that first scene with the Flag Smashers that I took away. But okay, so like in between the Sam being at home, we get like a little brief scene about Sharon's on the phone, and of course they don't say who it is, but the person on the other line, you can clearly hear that he's speaking French, and all of a sudden my mind just went, she's on the phone with Batroc the Leaper, like
Dun
that's
dun
the only person it
dun.
could be. And then she said so. She said she broke him out of an Algerian prison, so he owed her one because she says if it wasn't for me, you'd still be in an Algerian prison or something like that. So I'm like, this had to have been after Winter Soldier, obviously, but was this after Civil War? Like, when she was on the run, like, when did this exactly happen? That she
I
broke him out of this prison, obviously after Winter Soldier, but it had to have been after Civil War because she was working for the CIA in the time between Winter Soldier and Civil War. So I'm like, there is so much more to Sharon, and then she says she has a job for him, and then all of a sudden the next time you see it, next time you see Batroc the Leaper, again, assuming that's who she's on the phone with, which it's got to be because, like I said, the person on the phone was speaking French, and I mean, I'm not. He's the only French person on the show, and he shows up at the Flag Smashers
dun
and
dun
yeah,
dun.
and he's handing them a case, and I mean, they opened the case, but I'm not exactly sure what was in it. It looked like whatever it was that I guess EMP'd the meeting that they ended up doing in New York.
It's whatever was in the case from Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction that
right.
Marcellus Wallace was trying to get a hold of.
So I'm like, okay, so her job for the Batroc the Leaper was to connect him with the Flag Smashers to what? Like, so I'm wondering, is Sharon perhaps the leader? Is she either a double agent to either break into, to get close to the power broker, maybe to bring down this organization, or could she perhaps be the leader of the Flag Smashers? But then again, that just goes. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Sharon. Like I don't really know. She is literally like how Black Widow is. Like you
Just sort
just
of
don't know
there.
which side she's on. You don't like. I mean, obviously we knew Black Widow. Like when you first meet Black Widow and Iron Man, you're like, really, what side is she on? Like you knew who Scarlett Johansson, what character she was playing, but like, is she a double agent? Is she a triple agent? Like what is
Yeah.
what is Sharon Carter? Like
That's throwback.
it's huge mystery. Like what game is she playing? And I don't know, but I like it. When Carly sends out the Flag Smasher text or whatever on her phone, because they're sitting like in a park. I don't know what park, but they're sitting in a park, and all of a sudden you see everybody's phone go off, and like you see a lot of people start walking towards them, and I'm like, is there really that many Flag Smashers just randomly in this one park?
For a split
It
second, I
felt
thought it was the John Wick
that's
universe.
exact, dude. My next thought was like it felt very John Wick at the end of John Wick 2 when
Yes.
wait, what's his name?
Ian McShane,
Ian
dude.
McShane. Ian McShane says you got an hour, and then all of a sudden, like everybody's phone's going off, and I'm like, there really is not this many hitmen. Like, I mean, like and then John Wick 3 kind of solidifies, like, no, everybody's a hitman because everybody in New York was after John Wick. Like, it was just the entire New York population. Everybody's a hitman, and the entire universe of John Wick, everybody's a hitman, and that's what exactly in this happens. But yeah, it definitely felt very John Wickian.
Well, especially that little camera pan, like after she's like, we're gonna do this, and the camera just pans up, and you
Yeah,
just see the New York skyline. I was waiting for like a title card to say New York.
we ended up getting that too when they cut to I think the when it was going to cut to the meeting, the
Yeah.
meeting that they were have to pass the Patch Act, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But like I can understand, like
Patch
in
act to
Mad
patch
yeah
everything
in
up.
Madripoor, everybody got the text message about Selby getting shot. Be on the lookout for Sam and Bucky. Like I can understand Madripoor. Madripoor is an entire city of villains. That is an entire city. Like that's what Madripoor is. But I just in this, I don't know. I can understand it in Madripoor because that's what Madripoor is. But in this one, I was just like, that's a little too much.
Yeah, it did seem a little forced. And again, I think it's just because they're trying so hard to make Carly like, this awesome villain. But, she doesn't have that tech. She
No.
didn't get that. She's definitely a puppet for someone else.
Yep.
And I think with the introduction of the Contessa, that'll definitely,
But I
play
don't think
into
she's
that.
working for the Power Broker or Contessa because when she stole the thing, she ended up getting that message saying you stole from the Power Broker, and that the message was like, I want what's mine, because she stole the serum from the Power Broker.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering, like, if well, we'll talk about thoughts in a little
Or
while. But the
that's another down the rabbit hole theory. I was gonna say maybe it is Sharon Carter undercover. We're gonna combine both theories here. Sharon Carter undercover to take down the power broker, who also hired Carly to and kind of made this Flag Smashers, but also hired Carly to do all this stuff. Maybe Carly kind of went a little too far. Maybe Sharon just hired Carly to steal a serum, and then I think maybe Carly's just like kind of going once. She probably got like maybe a little drunk with power, and she's just taking it for, I don't know, rabbit hole theory.
No. It's a good theory. It's a good theory though. The one thing I did want to say, how you were
Sharon's a
saying like,
mystery.
and that is a mystery you will solve.
Or die trying.
One of the things I was gonna say you brought up earlier when she's having that phone call and you're not sure who she's speaking with, but you can hear that whoever's on the other line is speaking French. The thing that sucks is that, you know, because my ears are shot, so like I watch everything with subtitles if it's available, and on the subtitle it does say that it's Batroc on the other line.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, so it sort of
Nice.
spoiled it for me, but I was like, I had a feeling too, because you know the same mindset is like he's like the only French character
Yeah.
in the whole
Well, see,
universe.
and that's what. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna segue into like that's what happened with WandaVision, is when because they during WandaVision was it Monica Rambeau, when she kept mentioning her engineer friend, her aerospace engineer. All it said was, oh, I got an aerospace engineer friend. And like, everybody took to social media and just ran with this whole Reed Richards theory. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I found out because I watched a video, and apparently I want to say that maybe it was the Portuguese subtitles, when the subtitles came up when Monica was talking about her aerospace engineer friend, the subtitles in Portuguese had written aerospace engineer in a feminine manner, I guess, because a different languages, like Spanish, they have their different, masculine and feminine pronouns,
Yeah.
and that's how it was written for this aerospace engineer. So, the people that did the research and didn't fall down the Reed Richards rabbit hole knew that this aerospace engineer was going to be female. And what happened? We got a couple episodes later, there was a female aerospace engineer who I think ended up turning up to be the Skrull. But yeah, that's how I knew it wasn't Reed Richards. I wasn't falling for it. So yeah, watch with subtitles. You'll learn probably a little bit more than somebody who doesn't watch it with subtitles.
True that,
Anyways,
true
yeah,
that.
that's how. You can probably cut that out if you want, but that's
Nah, I might
that
leave
was a
that
little
in.
extra. That was a little for you.
Oh, thanks. So, I guess now that we talked about that, that's pretty much everything except for the ending. I think, now we can shift to John Walker.
Yes, I feel like we started with him. We should end with him.
Exactly,
Bookend,
exactly.
because Wyatt Russell's amazing, and leave him alone, people. He is an actor.
Criticize the character, not the actor.
But the character is also well written. It's like, trust me, you were designed to not like John Walker. That was the whole point. Even in the comics, when John Walker was introduced, it's like, who the real Captain America is, but I don't know. Like I was never like I didn't really know a lot about John Walker's character in the comics, but he's such a well-rounded character in this show. I don't understand why people are giving him so much hate. I understand. He's not Steve Rogers. He's not Wyatt Russell. Is not Chris Evans. But Wyatt Russell is still a great actor, and he's doing this role so well.
It's because
And
it's blind hate. That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's like, people are attached to the character, but at the same time, it's like, guys, remember, this is just a show. This is just for our entertainment. Sometimes when I'm watching shows, I'll get into it. I'll be like, ah.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, if they are making you feel something, then that means that they are doing an amazing job.
And I am like probably the biggest Chris Evans fan. So yeah, if I can tolerate this and get behind this, you all should be able to as well. Chris Evans is my Captain America.
Exactly.
So
having said that, let's bookend this with Mr. John Walker going to visit Lamar's family.
Yes.
So
you take it. You take this one.
So I said it on the last episode, and I'm going to say it again. I am not convinced Lamar is dead. Show me the body. Like
Dude, even if they show you the body, you still couldn't be convinced. No one's dead in the comics ever.
exactly. That's why I'm like, death is a joke. Like nobody is fully dead. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame already. They found a way to bring back characters that were killed off literally in the sequel. They died in Infinity War, came back in the sequel. Like
Only
they found
Gamora.
a way. Huh?
Was it only Gamora? Is that the one we're talking about? Who else?
Well, to a lesser extent,
Oh, I
Thanos.
guess Vision, in a sense,
Thanos too.
maybe. Which one?
Thanos.
I mean, yeah, but that's for the multi, or I
Or
guess the alternate
no,
realities.
I take that back. No, because he died at the beginning of Endgame. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. If you haven't, like, honestly, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Endgame, like, I mean, thank you for listening, but honestly, what's wrong with you?
And be sure to stay tuned for when we finally do our walkthrough of the entire MCU so far.
And disregard my judgment, and please like and subscribe. But no, like, I think Hoskins is kind of, because honestly, if Hoskins is alive, I think it kind of dilutes John Walker's like fall from grace. Again, going back to the whole Shakespearean tragedy, like I feel like it'll just be like a kind of a slap in the face to John Walker, and again, I mean, I obviously can't sympathize with the character because I have no idea what he's going through. Like, never, I didn't serve. I don't know exactly what that kind of what's going through that character, so I can't really relate like that. But it like just to see it, you kind of see him like this like all-star, whatever. And then I think if Hoskins was alive, I think it would kind of dilute Walker's like ultimate fall and tragedy, and
it's the catalyst.
Ruin his chance at a redemption, even though he might be beyond redemption. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he does. I'm curious, and that might go back. That'll go to the end credit scene. But I mean, I love and him meeting, or not meeting, but him, visiting with Lamar's family. I think it just, again, it just adds to his character. Like, like Lamar Hoskins was not only his partner, but I'm pretty sure I think they were friends for like years, like in high school and stuff. And it adds more to John and what he feels like is his duty. Not only to maybe maybe not his country now, but maybe to himself and to Lamar. Because again, we were talking about what Steve thought was right, going through John's perspective. What he thinks is right is putting a stop, possibly permanently, to the Flag Smashers. And I think him going and seeing his Lamar's family, and then reminiscing about the pictures they took, and Lamar's mom telling John about, oh, Lamar loved being your partner, loved serving side by side with you. He would call and tell me this every day. He was so happy and honored that you were Captain America and that he got to serve with you. And I think that's going to hit John a lot more, because he's going to be like, he straight up lied saying, yeah, I killed his murderer, but in reality he didn't. So he's in his mind now, he's like, I really got to make this up to my friend now.
Yeah.
Whatever the cost.
And I think that's also gonna whatever it takes. I think like when it comes to that bond that he had with Lamar, it was very, very akin to his Sam's relationship with Steve. The parallels. He was his rock. He was his wingman. This was his battle buddy. This was the guy that was with him through it all. This is the one that he was like, hey, you're the one that's keeping me grounded. And again, their talk when they go to the little restaurant in the last episode, and they're just talking about how great it is, and how he's just like, you're my, you got my back and whatnot, and I'm never gonna die, I'm gonna live forever. Sort of thing. But yeah, the whole scene, like you said, even when he said he lies, he straight up lies to them and says, that. And was that Lamar's wife?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe sister.
That's the vibe I got too. But I think he said Lamar had a wife.
It was possible. Well. I honestly, like, if I'm being like honest, I didn't even notice that other female character there until like I watched it the second time and I was like, who is this? And I felt like it was probably like a sister because
But she saw
I don't
through
know.
it. Like she had that look because when he was
Yeah, they
like,
lingered on her for a little bit too. I was like, I don't know, like they lingered on her. I think far more than for. I don't even think she spoke the entire time,
yeah,
but
and
they
that's why
lingered on her for some reason, and I was just
that's
like,
why I think
that was
she's the
kind of strange.
wife. Like I think because he even makes the comment to her at the end of everything and says, if you need anything, let me know. And
Hmm.
then he goes off walking into the night, and then when he just sees that poster and
Yeah,
he just looks at himself and he's just like, you know what, I know what I need to do now. And I think now, I mean, that we don't really need to talk about the ending. I mean, it's just, we'll call it what it is. It's a cliffhanger. It's everything. It's been leading up to the what was it, the Patch Amendments or the Patch Act, whatever we're calling it, the Patch
oh
Adams
yeah,
Act or what.
yeah. I wish there was. Did they was that the first time they mentioned that whole act in the entire series? Because I felt like there could have been a little bit more build up for that.
I want to say yes, and again, like I feel like that's why they start the what was it, one of the episodes with that commercial,
Oh yeah.
the GRCs,
Like
because
you,
it's
you kind
like
of figured they were gonna do something, but I don't recall them ever mentioning the Patch Act. I felt like there could have been a little bit more build up. And again, that was probably an issue, like filming issue, in a complete like maybe they had to rewrite something in the during production, like because I know like this show was supposed to come out first, and I believe they were almost finished before filming had to be shut down for COVID, and then I think they had to rewrite a lot of stuff to because again I think there was a different storyline that they had to rewrite. So I don't know. I wish maybe they could have just been like, you know what, wait a little bit, film your. But again, if it was a pandemic storyline, like I get why they had to change that, or why Disney would want to change that. But
but yeah, I mean, long story short, with the ending, Sam's watching the TV, he's talking, with Torres about, this is
yeah,
what's going on and stuff like that. He sees the TV. It cuts to the council having their meeting, which I thought was a really interesting parallel to like real life about how people view the government,
right,
especially with the the comment that the senator makes about like let's just sign this. We all know what we're trying to
yeah.
do, but then having those few that were like, no, we need to talk this out. We need to get this done. And then the lights cut, EMP, whatever it was, and then
Something happened. Power went out.
you just cut
That
to
was it.
Sam finally opening that case, and I love that they just cut it right there,
Oh, I
because
didn't.
I
I was when
was
I was watching that. I was hearing the music, like
yeah.
like I was like, oh, you better not end there. You better you.
But that's why I loved it. I loved the being teased, like, oh, you got me. Like, it was just like, because I realized I was like, I was on the edge of my seat when I saw that. Like, I saw myself like getting up a little bit, and I was like, and then boom, credits. And as soon as it happened, I was just like, oh man, that's how you end an episode. That's how you cliffhang an episode. And that look on his face when he opens the case and he sees Marcellus Wallace's soul, and um, but yeah, it'll he just the next episode just opens with him wearing like a Ving Rhames suit from Pulp Fiction.
Yes, I can. I
Oh,
want this now. I want this.
huh, Marvel, what if season 2?
I'm saying, like, if you, I mean, you're probably not short on ideas, but I've got plenty. I'm not gonna promise they're good, but I've got plenty.
And they will be entertaining. But
Yeah,
yeah, so the episode ends, really great ending to the episode, and then the one thing we've all been waiting for and we all constantly check to make sure, an end credit scene, and we finally got one, or mid credits, I guess in this case
mid
you can call
credits.
it that. So yeah, we got a mid credit scene. So you want to talk about what happened with that?
Yeah, so it just cuts to you see John Walker in like in a garage type setting, and he's just like welding and hammering, and it honestly felt very reminiscent of, Iron Man or Tony Stark making the Iron Man suit in the cave. You just hear him clanging metal, welding, like I said, welding. I'm, and then he takes the medallions he won, from I don't won or earned from his service, and he puts it, around, like circling around. He's basically making a makeshift shield out of I don't want to say scrap metal, but definitely metal. And I think it's gonna look nice. But he put his metals, I think, around one of the circles of what's gonna be the shield. And it's gonna get all melded together.
I hope it doesn't look nice. I hope it looks like crap.
Oh man,
He just
I
gets
don't know.
knocked out.
Look, they had he had the pieces. That would be great. That would be hilarious. That would be pretty hilarious.
Like he uses it to stop a bullet, and the bullet
No,
just
it'd
goes
just be like
through.
the one thing, like just the Indiana Jones, the dude just swinging his sword, and Indy just pulls out his pistol and shoots the guy. Like that's just it. Like he's gonna come in with this new makeshift shield that he just welded together out of spared junkyard parts. Comes in flipping, and then something happens, just boom, gets one shotted. And that's the end of John Walker. That'd be a terrible end of John Walker.
But again, what if season 2, if it doesn't pan out like that
But
in the next
he had
episode?
he had the pieces of the shield separated, and I mean, to me it looked pretty nice. I can't wait to see it.
It did, considering it was makeshift, and like you said, the
just straight up
the sound,
iron.
the cling cling, like it sounded very much reminiscent of Tony in the cave, making
Yep.
the Iron Man suit. But when you were saying that, it triggered something else in my memory. It also sort of reminded me of the beginning of Iron Man 2 with
with Benko.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like I feel like he probably used the same garage in Russia or wherever he was in the second one. And if they just pan the camera a little bit towards the left, you just see Ivan just nodding yeah.
No, you don't even see. I mean, you just
Bird
see
good, bird good.
Yeah, you see the bird. You don't even see him. He's dead. Remember? You just see the bird. The bird's still kicking.
Oh, I didn't say he would. I didn't say we were seeing him in person. I'm talking Force ghosts. I mean, Disney owns the rights now. Let's start Force ghosting.
So I'm wondering. So I know John Walker eventually becomes U.S. agent. He becomes that. I believe he goes by a couple of other names. But so in the comics, I'm gonna kind of combine a couple personas here. So in the comics, when John Walker becomes Captain America, Steve Rogers, loses faith in the government that he's serving, and he gives up being Captain America and goes by the name of Nomad, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm kind of thinking maybe they'll make John Walker maybe take on that persona, because he's technically been kicked out by his government. He has no government to serve, so he wouldn't call himself U.S. agent. That doesn't make any sense because he's not serving the U.S. government. So maybe he'll actually be called Nomad.
Unless they do it as a sort of thing where they're calling him U.S. agent and he's going by the moniker Nomad.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't happen where their code names are kind of thrown out, whatever, when Tony Stark gives Rhodey the War Machine. He in Iron Man 2 when they're fighting at that house party, he's like, "You want to be a War Machine?" You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
With Stain, he's like, we're iron. He goes, "We're ironmongers," and that's where Ironmonger comes from. So I just, I felt like a lot of the names aren't, you don't just go around calling people like, "Oh yeah," I mean, yeah, they do call them the names like Ant-Man, but it's mostly just like, nope, that's Scott, that's Steve, that's Tony. It's not like, "Hey, Iron Man." No, it's, "Hey, Tony." And I kind of like that because it kind of gives it a real world, especially with them. You wouldn't go if you and I were superheroes and we were out fighting Hydra, I wouldn't call you whatever superhero. That just seems kind of campy, very comic booky.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah.
So he went by Super Patriot first. So I mean, they could give him that name, but I kind of feel like, since he's kind of being a lone wolf now, no government, I kind of like the name Nomad for him, even though he never goes by Nomad.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool to see, that take on the character, especially for him to take up that mantle.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already in the our thoughts about what we think's gonna happen. So actually, while we're on the subject of John Walker, making that shield, I viewed it as, John Walker's like, I am taking this on my own. This is the John Walker show. I am making my own shield out of blackjack and hookers. Like, he is like, it's the John Walker show now. So, like I
Oh
said,
yeah.
if it doesn't, I just want it to be like a really horrible constructed shield. Like, it just breaks like, as soon as he
I
uses
wouldn't
it.
mind it breaking. Like if Sam, like since Sam is, I mean, technically he's a super soldier, so he can put more power into his shield than Sam could with, the real shield. But considering the real shield is made out of vibranium, that absorb vibranium is supposed to absorb like the impact. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like so like it doesn't matter like because you saw Captain America be able to take Thor's hammer with the shield in the first Avengers, and
Yeah.
like Steve was fine. So like if theoretically, again, we're putting theoretical physics into a theoretical substance in fictional universe, but like if John was to take his shield and try to like slam it into Sam holding like the shield defensively, I could totally see like John's shield like just falling apart, and that would be great. I think that would be cool
And I hope
because
that's what it is. I hope it's like a can getting crushed, just like
like I could
nothing.
totally see that happening, and then it would kind of put hopefully an end to the like John Walker, like because he's suffering from the imposter syndrome. Like, no, you're not Captain America. Like, I'm sorry. So like him having his own, because he feels like he's still Captain America. So him with his own shield, slam it up against the real shield, and it just falling apart. Even though he is a super soldier and Sam's not. That could be like the final thing that just like puts him down. Like you do have this imposter syndrome.
What
Sorry, not
makes you
sorry.
different between me and you? I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just what I picture John Walker as. So
And I could totally see him going to play and working for Contessa.
yeah, oh yeah, and that's actually what I'm thinking is going to happen. So as far as my predictions for what I think is coming down the line, one, I think yes, he's definitely going to take that offer with the Contessa
Mm-hmm.
because it makes the most sense. I mean, you don't just set something up like that, and I think he is going to have a run with it, maybe for a moment, but I think ultimately, he is going to do right because he is still a good person. I mean, they wouldn't show that scene in the locker room if not. He's just struggling, like you said, with it's imposter syndrome. It's he's just dealing with trying to find his way and to stand out on his own. I think ultimately when it comes to Sam and his mission, what would be a really cool way would be for them to retire Captain America altogether. Like you said, maybe something's gonna happen in this next episode where they're gonna be, filming and they're gonna see him doing his thing. But I think what would be a really cool take is that they retire the Captain America moniker and they make Falcon the new American hero. And that
Yeah.
shows, boom, that it's not a tarnishment anymore. And like it goes back to what Isaiah said, no self-respecting black man would would go under that name or holding that shield and whatnot. So this would be the best way. It's like Falcon is the new Captain
Mm-hmm.
America. He is America's hero. So I think that would be a really good way to do that. And with Sharon, I'm convinced double, triple, quad agent. She is definitely infiltrating something. I think it would be cool to see her, like, in order for her to get in so far, she had to take on the persona of the power broker, but the Contessa is the one that's pulling the strings. Because you don't just drop someone in there like that and say, "Oh,
Oh no,
we've been
not her. Yeah, no,
watching and we've
she
been
has a
yeah,
future in the MCU.
yeah, yeah." It's Julia Louis Dreyfus, dude. You don't
Yeah.
sideline Julia Louis Dreyfus. She is
No.
front and center. Like she is going to be a
How many
heavy.
how many
And she's
Emmys or
gonna
whatever has she won? No.
Not enough, and she
Yeah.
still has more coming. Like, I freaking love her so much. Seinfeld, Adventures of Christine, Veep. Like, she's just, I love her. She's a great actress. But yeah, that's more or less my predictions about what I can see coming. I really do hope that they kill Carly's character off. But like I said, it's just because like there's good, but I think the thing that would like make her take her to another level, just let her sacrifice herself. I mean, she already wants to be a martyr with everything that's going on. Like, if we're really gonna go that route, just let her, sacrifice herself trying to do the right thing. And especially if it's something that it's like, oh, I rigged this thing to happen, and you know what, I'm gonna be the one that, stops it or takes it on, so that way, it saves everybody. And somehow
Yeah.
they're gonna tie everything together. But I mean, I think that's the only route for her at this point. Is she just needs to sacrifice herself.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll kill her, but she'll definitely either die or go to prison. But I think she will have that martyr. She will be a martyr, and that might be even more dangerous. Like her legacy might be a lot more dangerous being like dead or in prison than it is her being alive.
Yeah,
Because again, this show is all about legacy.
exactly. And getting that shield back, which our boys accomplished.
Yes. So I don't know when you wanted to conclude this. Do you want me to talk about my how I'm about to tie in a bunch of movies together?
Yes,
My
yes.
theory. My
Actually, I
theory.
wanna I wanna hear this. Yes.
Okay. Oh, because this Contessa character has thrown. I mean, it made me think about a whole lot. So I've always had. I mean, not always. I mean, it's like what, a couple weeks old. So I was thinking that maybe the Power Broker was somehow connected to the Ant-Man and the Wasp and Civil War. So like in the beginning of Civil War, you had Rumlow, who Crossbones, broke into some lab facility in Lagos. I think it's pronounced Lagos, but anyways, and they were stealing what it looked like a bioweapon that was eventually, recovered by, the Avengers. But Rumlow says something. He hands the vial off to one of his associates and says, get it to the airport. Something about their buyer, and Rumlow says he's not going to make it, in which he ends up committing suicide, but because he had a bomb strapped to his chest. But eventually that vial was recovered by Black Widow, but we never like that storyline just seemed to have ended there. Like we never got who was the buyer. That was a lingering mystery, and I still think. I mean, maybe because I have no life, but I still think about it to this day. And so I was like, okay, who is this buyer? And then we get Ant-Man and the Wasp coming in, and I want to say, who did Walton Goggins play? It was his character's name, Sonny Birch.
I
I want
think
to say it was
so.
Sonny
It's
Birch.
been a while since I've watched it, but I mean,
So yeah,
I love
so
Walter Goggins. So
oh, he's great. He's great. Justified's amazing. So he's working for someone who wants the tech that they were trying to buy to build. Was it Janet? Is her name Janet? Why am I blanking on Hope? Janet. Hope's the mom, or Hope Janet. I'm sorry. Anyways, Hope and they were trying to buy this tech to build the necessary contraption to get into the quantum realm. And Sonny Birch keeps saying, he works for a terrible uh, person who doesn't like taking no for an answer. And now I'm thinking maybe I thought maybe this power broker could have been one and the same. The person that wanted this bioweapon from Civil War, wanted this quantum realm tech, and now this Contessa character walks in. So if I'm thinking Contessa could be the power broker who wanted to acquire all this, technology or weapons. But also, I'm going to say that Contessa might also be behind the Taskmaster in the upcoming Black Widow
ooh,
movie.
it ties into Black Widow.
Yes, because again, Contessa in the comics went by the name of Madam Hydra. Again, I don't know if they're going to go the Hydra route for in the MCU, because I'm hoping the Hydra's just gone. I'm hoping we're done with Hydra and this is like a new thing. But in the comics, it was revealed that Madam Hydra, Contessa, was like a Russian spy. And
Ah.
I'm not saying maybe she was behind the entire program of the Red Room, but maybe she was a Black Widow, a type of character in her youth, and she maybe broke free of her programming and started her own thing, and maybe now she's trying to like, again, I don't know how Black Widow's going to come about, but I'm guessing maybe Taskmaster could. I don't know what Taskmaster's role is in Black Widow, obviously, but I feel like there's that with the, at least with the comics, her being a Russian spy. I don't know how far they're going to go with this character in the show, but there's ties to Russia, and I just thought of that. Maybe they're going to try and maybe tie it into the Black Widow movie. It'd be nice. It'd be kind of cool because again, you don't just hire this actress for like 3 minutes in this episode and maybe not even, I don't know how much screen time she's going to get in the final episode, but you don't hire this actress for like a one-off type of role. She has a future in the MCU, and I think she's going to be like a big player down the road. But it'd be nice
Yes.
how they can tie all that together. Like, even if it's just like, oh yeah, I had guys, I had my people try to steal this, like I hired Rumlow to steal his bioweapon. I hired Sonny Birch to try to steal this tech. I don't know. Maybe. Again, wild theory.
Hey, but hey, we've had wild theories before, and some of them have panned out. We will see when we tune in next week to the possibly final episode. I don't trust them because that's what they did to us with WandaVision and said, oh, yeah, it's just this many episodes, and then boom, we ended up getting another one. So I anticipate and I patiently wait, holding my breath for episode 6.
Yes. I think, I think this is the last episode, but I'd hope this is not the last episode, or like, I hope there's more seasons.
That is going to be very interesting to see, depending on what happens with this episode, and especially just with the MCU going forward. How is this going to play into the MCU? Meaning that, is this going to be a repetitive series that will have multiple seasons, or is this a mini series, sort of in the vein of WandaVision, that it's just serving the story? And then it's just serving it up for the next phase or the next portion of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like with these Disney Plus shows, you can kind of do it like they do in the comics. Like, sometimes a character will have like numerous like mini series. So you'll have like, 1 year there'll be like a 6 or an 8 issue miniseries of this character, and then maybe you won't get another one until a couple years later. Like, I can kind of see them doing that. Like, okay, we have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier now, and then maybe once this series concludes, maybe they'll do like a new season, but it won't be called Falcon and the Winter. It'll just be like the next stage, but it'll be like a limited type of series, like a mini series, like you would in the comics.
Like a
So like, yeah,
Falcon Winter Soldier : and then whatever story arc
like
it is.
it's just the next story of, either Sam or Bucky. Maybe we'll get a new whatever. Maybe it's since it seems like Sam's gonna be the new Captain. Maybe it'll be like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or I don't know, like maybe it'll be Captain America, and maybe they'll bring Sam and Joaquin Torres will be the new Falcon. It'll be Captain America and the Falcon, and then that'll just be like the next chapter of Sam's story and Torres' story. But it won't. I don't think it'll necessarily be called Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2. Like, that's the same thing with like WandaVision. Like, we won't get another WandaVision. It'll, like, if we have another Scarlet Witch story, it'll be something in total. Like, it'll be like maybe just Scarlet Witch or something.
Yeah, and that's what still surprises me, is a lot of people think that WandaVision is getting another season.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, this is literally just its own thing, and you can tell just from watching it that no, this is leading into, of course, Multiverse of Madness, which is going to be insane, and I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not done with Scarlet Witch. Obviously, she's in Doctor Strange too, but like, if she is in another show, like if she does get her own another Disney Plus show, it won't be WandaVision. Like, we're not going to do that whole thing again. I loved WandaVision, but we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing the sitcom thing again. Like, it'll follow Wanda's next, her story path, but the show will be something different.
Yeah, that format is done because that was that format specifically for that story arc.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a one and done.
But please give Randall Park his own show.
Yes. For those MCU execs listening, Kevin Feige, we know you're listening, faithful listener. Please,
Yes.
Randall
Make
Park
Jimmy
has
Woo,
earned it.
give him his own team, the Agents of Atlas. He leads that team in the comics, but you bring in the characters from New Agents of Atlas, mainly because I have their first appearance, and that book will go up in price.
Help us help you, Kevin. Help us
Yes.
help you.
Help me to help you to help me make my comics more valuable. It's a win-win. And a lot of those characters are, from in the Southeast Asian region, and I know you want to market there a lot more than what you currently have. I'm just saying.
Think it over, Kev. You know
Yeah.
where to reach us.
That's all we have for today, ranters. If you like anything we had to say, please like, comment, and subscribe for future episodes. But please remember that these are our opinions, and if you want to share yours, leave them in the comments below and we'll be happy to discuss and debate. My name is Robert, and you can find me at 037, that's 0 with an X, over on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me, Ryan, on Instagram at RyanRants2013. We will be back soon with more content, but until then, keep ranting.